And so what are you consuming at the moment? TV, books, radio, podcasts that's really inspiring you?
Yeah, I'm doing all like the cliches of like my generation and online and that. So we're cliche, sorry. No, what I'm really into at the moment, I'm really digging is like my 12-year-old niece's Instagram, Samara. She has like the deadliest Instagram, and it's just her living her best life. Like, and I'm just so into like my like little nieces and nephews as they're like going into their teenage years, and I guess they're you know, she put up a picture of her all in white, being like, all white, still no privilege. You know, like her standing outside of like the Gucci store. I was like,
oh wow,
you don't even have a job. You're 12. Like, yeah. But it's just this. I guess it's this like this even having the gall to like dream and present themselves and just be like, I'm gonna live this best life, and I'm gonna, you know, that they have the ability to be able to even take a picture and curate who they're going to be and interact with the world in a way that I couldn't. I'm like, that's inspiring to me. You know, I think it's really, it's a definite generational shift.
I don't care. Young black girls on the, I was going to say the Facebook.
Yeah, on the face. Yeah, on the face. Not even
Did
on
you
that.
just turn 70?
Yeah.
On the social medias. No, they don't care. Black Facebook is my favourite Facebook. Like black fellas going off at each other is like,
yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah. It's pretty funny, isn't it?
You dumb dog.
Yeah.
Yes, go off, sis.
But their whole relationships play out over Facebook. Is he down the pub? And they go, yeah, he's here, tell him to come home. Then they have a fight on Facebook. I'm just like, oh, I've got to block you, my nephew. No, you can't be doing that on my Facebook account.
I see my Insta's are like little nieces, and whenever I put a picture up, they're all like, love heart eyes, you're so beautiful. Like,
your emoji.
Love your Balenciaga. I was like, how do you even know what this is?
Yeah.
But I just love that it's just, you know, I was like a fat teenager in Mount Druitt who was like trying to ice skate. So like the fact that, you know, they're like really, I just, yeah.
They're eternally cooler than us, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just, it befuddles me. Befuddles, be mazes, be something.
Dazzles.
Be everything. Yeah. What are you watching?
I'm watching a lot of television. Because television.
Binging, as it were?
Yeah, binging, fully binging. But at the moment I'm reading a lot of Australian history, which is really incredible. The work that Australian historians are doing to put back the true narrative of the country that's been suppressed makes me very inspired, even though it's pretty ghastly. So that's what I'm reading. I don't have a lot of time to do fiction at the moment, which is sad.
Yeah. What are you inspired by, Sally? Because you must see so much television.
I do. And it does become work after a while. But, you know, then I will find a series and I go, oh, I really do have to binge this. Because some of the time I just watch 2 eps and go, yeah, I know what that is, I'm going to move on. I know.
Can see where this is going.
I love that.
But I do.
Is there something that you've watched where you're like, wow?
Oh, look, it's a lot of American stuff, I guess. I mean, I've been watching a bit of Amazon lately, and I watched this show called Patriot, and it's pretty much a men's show, but just the tone, I'm really interested in tone and how do we get that great. They're really great at setting up worlds, and they're really great at setting up tone and just that dry humour. And so watch the Patriot, watch Sneaky Pete, just watched Goliath, a bit of Goliath last night. But, yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I love shows like Atlanta. Like, they're the kind of the pleasure shows, like where you watch Atlanta or you watch, you know, Catastrophe, or Fleabag is one of my favourite shows at the moment, which is just this woman who's a total mess. And I just so relate to that she's a mess and she's fucking up every single minute. She's drunk or she's fucking a new guy. And for me, it's like messy. It's messy life. And for me, I love seeing messy lives on screen. So that's kind of where I go. Reading, I'm just reading like mountains of scripts and pictures and things like that. So I don't really get a chance to read books until I'm on holidays. So, but yeah, and then watching our shows that we're making as well. So whatever they kind of put in front of me.
Yeah.
Can I just stick up for theatre and say that Fleabag was a play?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
It was a play.
It's over now.
Yeah,
it's over this
It
year.
was a play. Yeah. And that writer, she's just made a new TV show called Killing Eve. which is on
Yeah,
iView at the
yeah.
moment. Yeah, with Sandra Oh in it.
And
Like
besides,
sticking up for theatre, like
yeah.
Can I just
defensive theatre.
Can I just say,
got a chip on her shoulder.
Nakkiah, I started in theatre. I started theatre. I
invented
created
theatre.
theatre. No, I started in theatre.
You are
Theatre's
theatre.
my first love.
Theatre.
Yeah.
You're going to slip. Is this the time to slip the NIDA thing in as well?
I went to NIDA and did theatre directing, darling.
Oh.
Yeah.
And besides your cousin's Facebook profiles, what are you loving at the moment? What are you really inspired by?
The other day, like black women are just the best.
We're pretty good, yeah.
We're amazing. Chelsea Bond recently wrote something that was just like knocked the wind out of me. It was amazing. I'm reading my fiction thing is Octavia Butler's Xenogenesis, the second. She was a black science fiction writer. She's passed away now, but she's amazing.
Science fiction.
Yeah, she was like one of the first black female science fiction writers, and she just reimagines the world, and she's incredible. And we owe a lot to her, like in terms of science fiction and storytelling and that sort of thing. She was incredible. I love the podcast The Read. It's like two black queers over in America, and they're so. What I love about it and what I take from it is that they are so black and unapologetically black, and they don't explain themselves. And if people want to learn stuff, they'll have to Google it. Like if they don't understand the references, just Google it or whatever. And I love that they do that. And finally, what I'm watching is Grace and Frankie for the second time. I watched it all, and then I'm rewatching it immediately after. I love seeing like older queer couples. I think that's really beautiful. It's really nice to see that. We don't often get to see that in terms of queer storytelling. It's like death and like, really serious stuff. So to see them like enjoying the theatre or like arguing about wine or whatever, it's beautiful. And also like two older women like talking about lube and like their dildos and stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
I'd really love to see old black women like.
Oh my God.
I'd love that story.
Amazing.
But
Yeah.
That's a pitch, isn't it? Does that count as a formal pitch?
Yeah.
though?
Yeah, Arnie, Grace and Frankie.
Let's talk about that later.
Yes.
I
do it.
really love what you were saying about people telling black stories unapologetically. That's one thing that I really do love about Atlanta is that when he's imagining all of these sequences and you're going through all of the scripts, it's kind of them just being poor, and it's not romanticized and it's not pretty. It's not even, there's nothing sexy about it. It just is. And I think that that's kind of being black for black audiences rather than, being black for white audiences and being like, oh, there's all of these cool and sexy things that happen when you're poor. No.
Yeah, and over there they know they have the market. There are enough.
Yes.
Like if they solely relied on a black audience, they would have the numbers. But yeah, it's like when you're 3%, or, up to 3% of the population here, it's just it would be so good to just not even have to imagine. Like, when you're writing, I don't know if anyone else gets it, but like there's so many layers. It's like, am I writing to black people? Am I writing to black people? But also keeping white people in mind. Am I writing to everybody? But what if not everyone understands everything? Whereas like over there, they're just like blackety black.
Well, more than half of their audience, I think, is black, which is why they've been able to, tell the story for them rather than explain the black experience to white audiences, which I think you can tell, compared to other shows about black people.
Yeah.
You can tell that they've been made for white people, I think. How do you think we can get...
I'm not sure how you can tell that, but anyway. Interesting question.
I think that just more, when you think about the show Dear White People, for me, that's explaining something, our experience to white people.
Yes.
And I watch it and I think,
yeah.
oh, yeah, I can understand why you would put that filter on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
because
when
if
white people.
right there, I can tell
That's how you can tell. Thanks for that. That is not really that
watched it for that reason.
No, but there are a lot of black people who are like, oh, you have to watch this. It's this incredible show about the black experience. And I'm like, well, it's not really for me though, is it? It's for other people. And, it would be the same as if you're explaining, what happened at the Uluru Statement from the Heart meetings to someone who was white compared to if you're explaining it to someone who was black.
Yeah.
I think you apply different.
No, I think it's right. We've made programs that are about white people, but they're seemingly about Indigenous people. They're about white people understanding Indigenous people. So I think we've actually done that. On reflection. So 10 seconds, sorry.
So, you know,
like we don't I think a lot of it comes down to audience, and I think you know, when you look at America, like the kind of history of like black work that they've had to come out of there is, you know, for Atlanta to come out is great. You look at something like Orange is the New Black, which I'm a huge fan of, but like we're the Native American characters, right? So it's not perfect, and I think for Australia, given that, you know, if we're looking at audiences, is that we do have a canon and a culture of making work, which I'm really grateful for, where you don't have to, I've never felt like I've had to write for a white audience. And we essentially do have a lot of white people watching our shows. So I think it goes beyond like the black-white thing in terms of the actual practice of creating it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the Native Americans are absent from the screens over there, and we're kind of better off than they are in our filmmaking industry. They're sort of at where we are, whereas, you know, African Americans, you know, they own the place, really.
How can we get more of our stories out to audiences and communities, do you think?
I mean, I think we need to make more of them. We need more. We need to keep bringing new people through. And I think, you know, we just need to make different types of shows, you know, because not all black people like the same show. They like MasterChef and they watch CSI, and I watch SVU. You know, like we need to make different types of shows. But I think this whole digital era we're going into, or we're in, or, you know, I think we are going to be able to get our shows out. Like we're doing short form now where we're making it specifically for Facebook, or specifically just straight to a phone, or for YouTube. So thinking about what are those platforms, where are those young people? They're not watching television, they're watching YouTube clips. So making shows specifically for those mediums that work in the time frame and, you know, the length and everything. I think that's how we do it. And again, ABC Me, it's on an app. You know, all those young kids are watching it on an app.
What do you think, Nakkiah?
I think there's a lot that's already like really cool, and like initiatives that, that it's like for people who are emerging, people who are just starting out. I think those are really, really important. And also, I think for any young girls or women that are watching, like even just make your own stuff. Like people have built platforms online. Like if you, like we are such funny people and like such amazing storytellers. Just like, I think feeling like you, just feeling confident enough to make your own stuff is definitely a thing. Blog, tweet, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever the new app that is on next week. I think just get it out there, because like your 12-year-old cousin niece's thing sounds brilliant. Like I want to follow her now.
Yeah. What's your hashtag? Because everyone's got a camera, right? Everyone's got a camera now, so they can make stuff.
Like, but having different streams and different ways to enter. And I know like I've black friends who are doing like horror stuff, and then other friends who are doing like more dramatic stuff and comedy. So just having different kind of like entry points, I think is really important. And also like money as well.
Money and marketing. Marketing's kind of where we fall down a bit, I think, in how do we get the message out there that there's this great show.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to, like, I think as if someone wants to make work, like, build your own audience. Like, take every opportunity that you can get, so you can get those numbers, then they'll come buy your tickets and they'll go watch your shows, and don't rely on, like, other people having to sell your show. So just build your audience and experiment over different mediums. Do different shit, like, you can. And then I think for people who are watching the content that we create, like, publicly engage with it.
Yeah.
You know, like, let the network know you're watching, tweet about it, Facebook about it, like, be vocal, like, send an email to ABC if you're, like, enjoying a show and they're the people who are the network, because I think that stuff is really, really needed in this day and age where, you know, art is becoming, you know, there is this political discussion about whether or not we need the ABC, and we definitely need the ABC because, you know, the Aboriginal sector would definitely we wouldn't have this amazing work coming out of it. And a lot of the Aboriginal work coming out of Australia is, okay, I'm really biased, but like our best work.
Totally.
Like it's Australia's best work. It's what they're winning awards for. It's the stuff that's showing overseas. So I think, you know, you need to let people know that they're watching and you enjoy it.